السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Tonight's lesson is not going to be on al-Lu'lu' wal Marjan. Instead, we're going to go to another book that we have been explaining for some time, but for one reason or another we stopped. And alhamdulillah, we wanted to make a يعني نأخذ شوطا. We wanted to start running and moving fast and pick up some consistency and some momentum in the Lu'lu' Marjan classes. And alhamdulillah, I believe it's maybe 150, around 150 classes. So with a good pace being there, we're going to go back to Ad-Durar al-Bahiyyah. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be every night, nor does it mean it'll be every single Wednesday. Perhaps it may be, perhaps it will be, but for sure tonight, that's what we're going to go back to. For those that have been attending the classes for some years, and if not attending the classes, watching them online, and you will be shocked. The people who watched some of the classes online, when I was in Canada once, in Toronto, there was an imam there, of a sheikh of a markaz there. I won't mention his name right now. It's nothing negative, but it's just not necessarily a must. We were sitting, we were eating, and he's well known and respected in Canada. And some of the brothers there at the center, and the Abu Hurairah Center, they introduced me to him. Perhaps he heard about me or whatever the case may be. So we met each other, and alhamdulillah, kayf halik, so on and so forth. This brother is much older than me. He's been studying for longer than me. He's from the Middle East / North Africa, etc. He speaks Arabic, etc. So as we were eating and talking, and making acquaintances and so on and so forth, the normal pleasantries, kayf halik, etc. He whispered to me as we were eating. He says, "Yajibu alayka." He says, "You must finish your sharh of Durar al-Bahiyyah." He said, "Daynun alayk." He says it's a debt that you owe to people to finish the sharh of Durar al-Bahiyyah. So I'm shocked. I'm saying to myself, how in the world, or why in the world, is someone like this knowing and coming across my sharh of Durar al-Bahiyyah? He's reading the sharh in Arabic, listening to the sharh in Arabic from the ulama. He's much older than me. He's been studying, giving da'wah for many years, way before me. How did he even know about it? Let alone listen to it, let alone acknowledge and respect it and say that you have to complete it. So the highlighting point from this brief story is, as I say to the young brothers and sisters all of the time, you don't know where your benefit will reach. And you don't know where your da'wah will reach. And you don't know what Allah Azza wa Jal will use you, or how Allah will use you to raise the sunnah and to spread the sunnah. You don't know. What's the chances of this? What's the chances of this? Everyone understand this? He's not someone who's speaking English, reading English, listening to English translations. He is a Sheikh of Markaz himself. So you never know, huh? You never know. Khairan, inshallah. So the last thing that we mentioned, I just checked. It was lesson number 23. Lesson number 23. And it says here in the description, it was published on September the 12th, 2017. Chapters discussed in this lesson. Number 1, the book of funerals. The third book, Al-Kitab al-Thalith. Al-Kitab al-Thalith. The third book is the book of funerals, Kitab al-Janaiz. Section A is the rulings of those who are on their deathbeds. Al-Muhtadar, he who is about to die. He or she whom death has approached. Metaphorically speaking, death is knocking on a person's door. They have a high fever. They've been in the hospital for many days or weeks. They're very old, sick and frail, very pale, not strong at all. They're sweating. They're about to die. What are the ahkam that pertain to this person? The rulings that are binding upon the one who's about to die, and the rulings that are binding upon those who aren't about to die, who are witnessing the spectacle of death approaching. What do they have to do and say? What must they not do and must not say? Everyone understand this? And obviously only Allah knows who is going to die, how long a person is going to live, but Allah Azza wa Jal, He clearly gives us signs. Allah gives us signs. And Allah Azza wa Jal, His creation has a sunnah. There's a sunnah to Allah's creation. There's a sign of strength and there's a sign of weakness. Naam. there are things which are probable. Naam. Allah Azza wa Jal, He makes things to show us how things are. Only Allah knows how long a person will live, of course. And we believe in things which are quote unquote miracles. But there are tangible signs to which clearly show that this person is what? On his way out. Is about to check out, as they say, right? Tangible signs. So what are the rulings of the one who's about to die? Or we think he's presupposed that this person is about to die. In most cases, this wound, this infection is going to lead to death. And what are the rulings of those who are in the room, the hospital room, right? Or your father or your uncle is in a hospice, with level 4 cancer, and he's been battling and fighting, right? And the surgery was not successful. And the cancer has spread throughout the body. And the doctors have given up and lost hope, and they said there's nothing that we can do for him but try to ease his suffering as best way we can, right? Or someone is in your home, in their room. They haven't left the bed in 2 or 3 months. They're very weak. They're not eating, etc. What do you have to do? The wife that's in the room, the children that are in the room crying, the family members, the friends, your enemies, your friends, your students, etc. What is mandatory upon them? And what is recommended for them to do? What is disliked for them to do? And what is haram for them to do? Okay? That's what we discussed in the last lesson. And as you already know, those who have been following the classes, we know that Ad-Durar al-Bahiyyah is a small metin on fiqh. A small metin on fiqh, a beginner's metin on fiqh, and perhaps one of the best small books on fiqh. Perhaps one of the best in Arabic and or English. Of al-Hafidh al-Shawkani rahimahullah ta'ala, the well-known alim, the author of Nail al-Awtar. His biography perhaps we'll mention again another time. Shawkani. One of the best books on fiqh for the beginner. No question, hands down. One of the best. Not the best, because I haven't read all those books. But one of the best. We've explained many times before why this book is one of the best. And the usloob, the style of the book, etc. We've also explained the translation of the book. That there is a complete translation of the book. Some years ago, me and Abu Sa'id, we ordered them online from the brothers in the UK. They had did a full translation of the book. Okay? Full translation. Printed, published translation of the book. Maybe the next time we do the class, if it's possible, I can bring my copy to show you guys again. I haven't found the full PDF of the book. Maybe we can contact the brothers or the sisters who translated the book and ask their permission to scan it and make a PDF for everyone's benefit. Online, you can find many other translations that are chapters and parts of it, but not complete. I didn't find it complete. But there are several different chapters in English translated with the sharh in English as well. Obviously, there are many YouTubers who have explained the book in Arabic. As far as English, I don't know if anyone's ever explained the whole thing in English. La adri. Section B, rulings of washing the deceased. What are the rulings on washing the deceased? How do we wash him or her? Who can wash the body? Can a man wash his wife? Can a wife wash her deceased husband, right? A widow or widower? How do you wash them? How many times do you wash them? What's the rule on using shampoo and soap and camphor, etc.? Ahkam of washing the dead. Let me say here, it says here in the comments, this comment is by Book of Wisdom. 10 months ago says, where is the rest explanation of the book? Tayyib. So, bidnillah ta'ala, let's get started with fulfilling the request, inshallah. It says here, reading from the Matan, there's several different explanations of the book, annotations of the book, etc. Right? Tayyib. It says here, Tayyib. Kitab al-Janaiz. Tayyib. The author, he says here, فصل ويجب تكفينه بما يستره ولو لم يملك غيره ولا بأس بالزيادة مع التمكن من غير مغالاة ويكفن الشهيد في ثيابه التي قتل فيها وندب تطييب بدن الميت وكفنه. Listen to how concise, how clear, and how sharp the words are. Right to the point, no ambiguity whatsoever. He says, وَيَجِبُ تَكْفِينُهُ بِمَا يَسْتُرُهُ. The mayyit, the deceased Muslim, must be shrouded. And the shrouding must be something which covers everything. Which covers everything. يَسْتُرُهُ. It covers him or her. So the first mas'ala, the first issue of the chapter is حُكْمُ تَكْفِينِ الْمَيِّت. What is the ruling on shrouding the dead? Is it sunnah, recommended? Is it mandatory, wajib? Is it makruh? Is it muharram? Is it mubah? Etc. The author clearly states his madhab says yajibu. It's a must. And not only is it a must, as we all know, but it must be in a manner which is covering. Bima yasturuhu. He moves on and he says, وَلَوْ لَمْ يَمْلِكْ غَيْرَهُ. Even if that's the only thing that he owns and possesses. Even if that's the only thing that he owns and possesses. He only has one garment, and or he only has enough money to pay for the kafan. Alaykum salam. He has a wife, he has children, but he only has money to pay for the kafan and the washing and the burial. And we've explained this many times before, right? The order in which you are to proceed with regards to the rights of the dead. The order in which you are to proceed regarding the rights of the dead. We've given you the beneficial summarized acronym. Tadumu. Tadum. Ta, del, waw, mim. At-tajheez, ad-dain, al-wasiyya, al-mirath. 4-letter acronym. Tadum. For you to memorize it as a student of knowledge, easier. Ta represents tajheez, preparation of the body. So let's say that we have a brother who dies. How much money does he leave behind? Muzammil? $1,500. So out of this $1,500, it's like a pizza, a pie, right? Okay? You have slices. How are we going to slice this pie? In half, quarters, eighth, etc. So $1,500, the first slice that's taken from this brother's money is for his what? His son's education, right? His college. His wife needs necessary things. Naam? Right? He owes a brother money. Brother Akbar. Right? Brother Akbar from the masjid says, I need my money. Uncle Akbar, right? Sahih? Tayyib? Waqida. And he has children, he has people that say, where's our share of his inheritance? The first thing that we do with this brother's money is $1,500 is pay for the things that are needed to put him in the ground. Before his crying wife, his crying children, Uncle Akbar, and anybody else that's begging for a slice. So, how much does it cost? We have to rent a center if we don't have our own janazah center. How many janazah centers we have in New York City? How many? We have a few. I know one I can mention for sure, the Janazah Project, Brother Nuruddin and his disciples. Alhamdulillah, they run mashallah, a very, I believe and I feel, a very good program and a very strong program. And they offer services for free and they help people out. I know Brother Nuruddin, other brothers who have worked with him. I know them. I've even spent a time in which, unfortunately, I was riding around with a dead body, interstate. Not a dead body in the trunk, This is like a dead body to be shrouded and buried, That's my tied up, something like that, From Philadelphia to New York City, me and Abu Hanif one night. Wallahi, this is a true story. He picked me up, and in the back of the van was a what? It was a dead body. Yani the concept of people who don't have the money to pay for janazah. No one provides for them. No one will help them out. The brother from New York City has to go drive to Philadelphia to pick it up, to bring it back to New York to be shrouded, washed, and buried, etc. Why can that? So Brother Nuruddin is not advertisement for him. We're not advertising on his business, but he has a charitable project which he should be thanked for and praised for, and brothers should support him and others as well. But that's what I know about for sure that comes to my mind. Okay, how many places do we have here in Queens? Places to wash the body, like Muslims. How many of you know? Don't say zero. How many of you know? How many janazah places do we have in which we can do everything that's licensed and certified? I know one. One. On Rockaway. Tayyib. Okay. Name of it?
Bergen Funeral Home.
Bergen Funeral Home. Tayyib. How many others? How many masjids do we have?
Then
How many halal stores? How many bookstores do we have? Wow, in a whole borough. That's not good, huh? That's not what? Al-Muhim is that how much money does it cost for this brother to get washed and buried and shrouded and everything? How much money? Everything. How much? How much is Bergen going to cost?
$3,000.
3 stacks or 3 racks, right? $3,000. So the brother, and what's the brother's name who died? No, Uncle Akbar is the one who wants the money. Huh? Who? Nah, Fulan is not good enough. We want to ask your name. What's his name, Abdul Qawi? What's the brother's name who died? And he only left $1,500 behind. What's the brother's name? Yusuf. Brother Yusuf, right? So Brother Yusuf, he doesn't have enough money for the people to wash him and to shroud him and to bury him. That's a problem. So what do we do now? We call Nur Deen, right? The Janazah project. Or Al-Muhim, so let's say, for example, he has $3,000 instead of $1,500. So Brother Yusuf, he dies, he has $3,000 left. And his wife is crying, she's needy, the children are crying. Brother Akbar, Uncle Akbar, he wants his money back. I lent him the money. No disrespect, but I need my money back. The $3,000 is gone. The $3,000 was sucked up and swallowed up, and nothing more than preparing his body, washing his body, and burying him. Khalas. So no one gets nothing. Brothers who have debts, his wife, his relatives and kin, they get what? Nothing. Everyone understand this? Because tajheed comes first. Everybody clear this or not? And that's mandatory. Everybody understand this? We all on the same page or not? Okay. So we have another now. Brother Yusuf, we're done with Brother Yusuf for now. Now we have a sister. She's dying. What's the sister's name? Sister Amina. There you go. Sister Amina. How much money did she leave behind? 5 G's. $5,000 she left behind. To get her body washed and shrouded, to rent the cinder, the hearse, whatever is needed, costs $3,000. How much is left? $2,000 remain. Where does that $2,000 go? Who gets that money? There is another sister, auntie. What's her name? Come on, guys. You guys don't know names?
Jamila.
Sister Jamila. Aunt Jamila. She says, Sister Amina owes me how much? $2,000. $2,000 to buy a car. Methadone. $2,000, right? So the money that's left in Sister Amina's account is now done. No one else is getting anything else now. Our money is gone. It's all swallowed up. $5,000 gone. Everyone understand this? Letter number 3. Wow. Al-Wasiyah is the will. The will, huh? The bequeathing, right? So we have another brother. The brother's name is... You want all these Arab names, Akhi. You want some traditional real names. It's not Brother Mukhtar, huh? That's half and half. Give me something really cultural, Khalid. La. Well, Jamal, that's the type. Brother Jamal. Tariq. Okay, Brother Tariq, right? Not Tariq. Say, Brother Tariq. He dies. And he leaves behind how much? $7,000. 7,000 cash. 7,000. 3,000 to bury him. $2,000. He also owed Brother Akbar. Brother Akbar, was loaning people money, right? And he has how much left? Loan shark. How much money he has left, Brother Tariq? $2,000. He puts in a will. When I go, I leave this $2,000 behind for such and such a person, or fulan, or etc. And that's all the money that he has. Everyone understand that? Is that permissible for him to give all of his money in a will? How does he know what his money is? He doesn't know. He's dead. He wrote the will when he was alive. He didn't know that he was only going to have 7,000. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, because this is a sticky issue, with regards to will versus inheritance. But hypothetically speaking, he says, I leave behind $2,000. $2,000 for brother Khalid in his will. It's signed, it's notarized, etc. So $3,000 for the funeral and everything. $2,000 for brother Akbar, the debt, and $2,000 for brother Khalid. His money is now what? Gone, finished. No one inherits what? Anything. Then we have a sister, another sister. The sister's name is Sister Bibi. Right? I told you to watch out. Now I'm saying, Sister Bibi dies. How much money she leave behind, Abdul Qawi? 10 G's, $10,000. $3,000 for what? Preparation. Right? $2,000 for Uncle Akbar. $2,000 she left for a will for someone that's not related to her, whatever the case may be. We don't want to get into the details of the will. And last but not least, she has how much left? $3,000 to be split up among her husband, her daughter, her son, etc. Anyone who is a warith, or anyone, we're not getting into the details of inheritance right now. The people who have a right to the wealth. Everyone understand this? So that $3,000 is split up among whoever is in the Kitab and the Sunnah to inherit from Sister Bibi. Everyone understand this? So we don't start off with Uncle Akbar and the money that she owes him. Nor do we start off with her children and her husband who say we want our right, our haqq. Everyone understand this? Nor do we start off with the date, with the wasiyah, the will that she gave for brother Khalid. But we start off with what? Preparation. That's the first thing that has to be taken from the wealth. Everyone understand this? We explained this many times before. And it's very beneficial and keeps you far from a lot of takhabbutat, a lot of confusion, right? And tripping and falling. And the difference in Islam between the will and inheritance, they're two different concepts. But living in a Western country and the secular world in which we live, sometimes they're merged. Inaccurately. What? Inaccurately. A will, Islam, does the person you put in the will have to be a Muslim? Does the person that you put in the will have to be a relative, etc.? That's not the same as inheritance. There's specific rulings for inheritance. Those who can and cannot do and do not what? Inherit. This is in brief. This is in brief. It's not a dars on fara'id. Right. So he says that the Muslim must be shrouded, even if that's all that he has. The preparation comes before what? Before what, Ikhwan? Before what? Kullu shay. Anything. The preparation comes what? First. You guys with me or not? And Tumana? You guys with me? Inshallah. طيب. He then says here, وَلَا بَأْسَ بِزِيَادَةِ مَعْ تَمَكُّنِي مِنْ غَيْرِ مُغَالَاتٍ. And there's nothing wrong with ziyada, shrouding him in something more, making the shroud thorough, making it complete without being excessive and without being extravagant. It doesn't just have to be the bare necessity that you shroud a person in. It doesn't have to be what? The bare necessity, along with avoiding excessiveness and extremism. So, with regards to throwing money in the grave, or gold chain, your ice, right? People start throwing jewelry into the ground and things like this. Or and yani the deep thing is, and I don't want to go too far off track, but we have to go off track just a little bit. That's our tradition. Is that there are many urban traditions or modern traditions that the people think are just innovations of urban people, bid'ah of urban people, but it's not like that. These traditions are deeply rooted. And one of those traditions is putting money in the grave. Maybe people do it in the suburbs or the country, but for sure we know people do it what? In the hood, that's for sure. Your homies come to the funeral, right? They do what? They throw money, they throw jewelry into the grave. And you say, look at these stupid people. Look at them. Look how uneducated they are. Look, they just throw away money, so on and so forth. But this is something which was done of the ancients, the ancient Egyptians. What would they do when they died? Whether they were mummified or not, they would take preparations to the afterworld. Regardless, batil, we're not talking about what their aqidah being batil, but the concept is that they took things with them to the what? To the grave. Or the Vikings, the different ships and the graves and the tombs that were unearthed and discovered. What would they find in those graves? a sword by the side or in the hand of the deceased. Cups, gauntlets, a shield, an axe, a battle axe, a bearded axe, a helmet. These things were costly. You know how much money it cost to make a sword? How long it took to make a sword? It was very expensive. Okay? They fought for these things, for silver and for gold, a golden cup. This was currency. They will put it in the grave with them. So it's not just like something that the urban people have made up. Or another concept of the urban or the modern age, you find someone who, huh? Bandanas. The bandanas, huh? What's the history on the bandanas, Sheikh? We leave that alone for now. All right, people, you have different people that are in gangs, right? And they may get tattoos or tears on their eyes that symbolize what? A body. Somebody that they killed. Huh? You go to ancient tribes and indigenous peoples, you find certain warriors that they have markings on their body. And every marking symbolizes a warrior that they what? That they killed. And it's a sense of honor and rank. So if you see somebody with a certain amount of markings or tattoos on them, that means he's a fierce warrior. And it wasn't civilians that he killed or women and children, but it was in battle, people that he killed. And that's similarly translated to what? In the streets. I'm not saying you should get a tattoo on your face. I'm just making the point. Is that it symbolizes something. That you're dealing with what? You understand what I'm saying to you? And obviously, a wise person wouldn't necessarily tattoo his body or face up, symbolizing people that he killed. But we're not here talking about wisdom. The only thing we're talking about is the parallel. Everyone understand this? Fine. So he says not to be excessive, not to be extreme. Nah? So throwing money in the grave, wasting money on the funeral. This also in the what's the word I'm looking for? The casket. Also, the tombstone. Huh? All of these different fancy schmancy things. The funeral itself. Excessiveness is not from the way of the Muslim when he's alive nor when he dies. Everyone understand this? And it is upon the Muslim imam of the household to teach his family. When I die, do not spend and waste unnecessary money. That money can be spent fi sabilillah. That money can be given to poor people. That money can be spent on my behalf. That money can be spent to take care of you. Everyone understand this? Do not shriek and wail and scratch your face at my funeral. And this is one of the interpretations of that hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ says, إِنَّ الْمَيِّتَ لَيُعَذَّبُ بِبُكَاءِ أَهْلِهِ عَلَيْهِ. Or كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. The authentic hadith, الثابت في الصحيح, that the deceased Muslim or the deceased person will be punished because of his family crying over him, wailing over him. And we know that this hadith was considered problematic by some of the Sahaba. Some of the Sahaba, they found this hadith to be problematic. Such as Aisha radiallahu anha, right? And she used an ayah or ayat from the Quran, وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى. Is that a soul that has his own burden to bear will not bear the burden of another? How can somebody be punished for something that he didn't do? It's not my fault that my wife is going crazy and she's mad, screaming and falling out. Oh, why me? Oh. As we see at funerals, she's passing out, going crazy. That's not my fault. It's not my fault that my children are punching the wall. That's not my fault. The people are grief-struck and that I died. So how am I being punished for this? And the law clearly says that a soul will not bear the burden of another. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah does not burden a soul more than it can bear. So how is it just and fair for a Muslim to be punished because of what another ignorant Muslim is doing? كيف هذا? So this was the rationale of Aisha radiallahu anha. And this was the criticism and the style of criticism that she used to prove that the Prophet never said this. But other companions who narrated the hadith, who were trustworthy companions, she said they made mistakes. They made what? They made mistakes. The Prophet didn't say that. They misquoted him. And we know that those other companions, they didn't make a mistake. They didn't make a mistake. And the Prophet did say that. It's authentic. But there's a meaning to that hadith. And from the meanings of that hadith and the interpretation of that hadith, as the ulama of Islam say, is that one who dies and he does not teach his family about the etiquette of janazah. He does not instill in them what they should and should not do. I.e., you didn't live exactly Sharia compliant, Islamic. These are basic things that are supposed to be known in your household. I'm not going to live forever, son. You get sad when you think about death. Abby, listen, death is a part of life. And if it wasn't for someone dying, you wouldn't be here. This is a part of life. I'm not going to be here. And when I go, this is what you have to do. And this is what you cannot do. This is what you should do, and this is what you shouldn't do. And it's the job of the father or the mother to prepare your friends and your family for what? For death. Or prepare them for the time in which I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to be here all the time to answer your questions and to give the class khutbah. You have to do khutbah. You have to be the mufti of the people. I'm not going to be here. Learn how to do it now. Learn now. Train yourself now, because I'm not going to what? Be here all the time. Whether I leave, whether I go somewhere else, whether I'm sick, and the dawah and the teaching cannot what? It can't stop and die. And it can't just be, I'm here, and that's it. No, I have to teach you and prepare you for when I'm what? Not here. Everyone understand this? So the ulama of Islam, they say that those who don't advise their family and teach their family and they don't instill in them the sunnah is a reason behind them wailing, and they'll be punished therefore. And what are the chances of this? For you to live the life of ilm and sunnah and tawheed, and your wife is at the funeral acting hysterical. What's the chances of that, Khalid? She has a full niqab and gloves, and she's going crazy, screaming, why me? Why did you take him from me? What's the chances of that? Likely or unlikely? What you think, Abdul Qawi? Huh? Slim chances. It could happen, only Allah knows, but we talking about you were married to this woman for 30, 40 years, you had kids together, and your whole life you were living, trying to practice the deen and the sunnah. How you make your money, how you eat your foods, everything is, and your marriage is supposed to be Islamic. You don't have to be perfect, but your household is supposed to be what? Islamic household. There's no question about that. If somebody walks into your house, it should take them less than 3 minutes to determine this is a Muslim household. Less than 3 minutes. And it doesn't just mean taking off your shoes, because it's not obligatory to take off your shoes. Nor is it haram to pray in your shoes or enter your house in your shoes. It's not haram. But regardless, whether you take your shoes off or on, obviously that's a sign, taking your shoes off at the door. They should know from 2 minutes of being in your house, this is a Muslim household. Whether it is some Quran being hung up on the wall, what's the ruling on that? We're not trying to discuss that right now. Is it permissible to hang ayats from that al-Muhim is there. Whether they see halal foods, they see the Quran, the prayer book, they see some Muslim paraphernalia. It can't be a thing where someone comes in your house for 2 minutes and they leave and they don't have full yaqeen that you are a Muslim. If they do, then there's something wrong with how you live. And don't be shocked or surprised at what I'm saying. There are many brothers who come to the masjid, who come on Friday, who come to Ramadan, and they live like this, wallahi. You go visit them, you go to counsel them, they have a problem, a nikah or something, you go to the house, a janazah, awake, and he's like, what is this? And it's only a handful of brothers who knew him from the masjid that he was a believer. But his friends, his associates, his co-workers, they knew nothing about him being a Muslim at all. So the chances of his wife or his daughter or his uncle coming to the funeral and shrieking and crying and screaming, the chances are what? No question. Everyone understand this? It doesn't mean perfection. But if my children know the basic do's and don'ts of a Muslim, I failed them as a father. If my wife doesn't know the basic adab, I failed them. I failed her as a husband. And what are the chances of your family member who loves you so much and they're so disheartened and emotionally distraught doing something that they knew is displeasing to you? Let alone the hadith, the pleasure of Allah, the displeasure of Allah, but they know that this angers you. What's the chances of them doing this, Abdul Qawi? The public embarrassment like this. And my husband was a scholar, or my husband was a righteous, pious brother on the sunnah. She's not going to come and embarrass you and humiliate you in front of the people like that. So the hadith says that the dead person will be punished because of the crying of his family. Meaning the one who did not what? Live like this and instill it in his family. In other words, as if you allowed it. As if you condoned it. It's okay with you. And this is why one of the most important principles of leadership, as Confucius said, is to show the people his likes and his dislikes. That's it. Show the people what you like and show the people what you don't like. Everything, bi-idhnillah, will fall accordingly. Of course, there has to be discipline, there has to be organization, there has to be reward, and there has to be punishment. But let your generals, your ministers, let your courtiers, let your entourage know what you like and what you don't like. He does not like bribery. Can we abolish bribery in this country 100%? No. But it has to be what? Toned down. And it can't be thing you get pulled over by a cop overseas and you give him 50 reals or 50 dinar and he lets you go. It's open, it's public. You're trying to get married? Give me your paperwork. Yalla, hat bakshish. Give me my tip. It's well known. It's a well-known, open public practice that bribery is acceptable. Shahada. Do you think the leader of that country has made it clear to his followers and his subjects that he does not like bribes and does not tolerate bribery? What do you think? Of course not. And if they knew that, even without the fear of Allah, they would be afraid of him. And if it doesn't stop them from doing it, it would at least what? Force them to do it what? Discreetly. We're talking about public disobedience to Allah Azza wa Jal. Plain sight in a country. The leader doesn't know about it. You make an excuse for him. Maybe he doesn't know. Okay. How don't you know? And if you don't know, does that mean that it's an excuse? Are you not supposed to know the basic things of your subjects? Is that not your responsibility as a leader? As the imam of a household, basic stuff that's going on in your child's life that you don't know about. Something's wrong. Everyone understand this? So this is applicable here. Teach the people what you accept and what you don't accept. Everyone understand this? You know that if you walked outside my house just like that, you already know. There's no, oh, maybe Abby doesn't mind if I, put this on. No. They know. Can't dress like this. They know that if father found out I have a girlfriend, he would kill me. I can't bring no girl in the house. I can't sneak no girl in the house. I don't understand this. Even if you're stupid and foolish, you know that what? He ain't going to tolerate it. Everyone understand this? So you have to teach these things to your family and instill them in your family. Not to scream, not to shout, not to scratch their faces and rip their clothes, not to practice this jahiliyyah that is done at the janazah. And that is the interpretation, or one of the interpretations of that what? Of that authentic hadith. That the dead person will be punished because of his family what? Doing these things over him. Everyone understand this? And بهذا يزول الإشكال inshallah. طيب. Shawkani rahimahullah ta'ala even says, وَيُكَفَّنُ الشَّهِيدُ فِي ثِيَابِهِ الَّتِي قُتِلَ فِيهَا. And the martyr, the shaheed, is to be buried, or he's to be shrouded in the clothes in which he was martyred. The clothes in which he met his demise. He is not to be put in another new keffin, or sheets. If he has on the uniform of a soldier, and he was wounded in his chest, or his head, or his leg, he's to be buried in his soldier's uniform. Everyone understand this? And he's not to be put in a new shrouding. Everyone understand this? That's the next ruling. Is that this is mandatory and it is not to be done. Now, what's meant, a mas'ala here, what's meant by a shaheed? The shaheed who dies from defending himself. The shaheed who dies from being burnt alive. The shaheed who dies from being drowned. The shaheed, as we mentioned in the khutbah, مَنْ يَقْتُلْهُ بَطْنُهُ فَلَنْ يُعَذَّبَ فِي قَبْرِهِ أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام, is he who's killed by his stomach, his belly, or his insides, will not be what? Punished in his grave. Does this hadith, or the hadith about the shaheed, because obviously the fiqh book is based off of the hadiths, does it apply to them? We say no. Even though they're called shaheed or shuhada, they're not of the same level of the shaheed al-ma'rakah, of the one who died on the battlefield. Everyone understand this? It's very important to understand and not to mix these things up. Is that the one who dies on the battlefield is of the prime, highest level. And even though others are called shaheed, they're not what? On his level of shaheedism, like he is. And this goes to show you the virtue of jihad fi sabilillah. And not like those who try to make it like everything else. Right? This is jihad too, and seeking knowledge is jihad too, and giving dawah is jihad too, and spinning law, which it is a type of jihad. But do not try to make that's qital, fighting. There's a difference between the two. And unfortunately, there are many of us who do this. May Allah help us and protect us all. Obviously, the consequences and the repercussions and etc. Being called an extremist and a terrorist, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on. The problems that will come from you saying certain things. Rather, there are certain brothers or sisters, and I'm not talking about nobody specifically. If it applies, it applies. You make a statement, you make a comment about this, about that, about the Christians, about the Jews, what do? They get a problem. Oh, we have to edit the video, Sheikh. We have to make the video private, yeah, Sheikh, because you mentioned that the Jews are maghdubi alayhim. You said that the Jews are those who earned Allah's wrath and they're jealous. We can't publish your video. Ish hada. What is this? And what's next? The next thing that bothers them or irritates them or is politically incorrect, we take that out and we don't mention that and we don't talk about what is shahada. When does it stop? The neutering of the Muslim, spading his courage. When does it stop? Don't talk about hijab. That's next. Don't say it's haram to shave the beard. That's next. Don't say this next. When does it end? So you have to be mindful of this, guys. And the kitab and the sunnah is absolute truth. Absolute truth. And what's in the kitab and the sunnah is absolute truth. The specifics, the applications, this group, that group, that doesn't necessarily mean that's what I'm saying or I'm connecting myself to. Everyone understand this? So jihad fi sabilillah is in the Quran and the sunnah. And you trying to take jihad from the kitab and the sunnah is trying to take sweetness out of honey. It's like trying to take sweet out of what? Honey. They're what? They cannot be separated. They cannot be what? They cannot be separated. Period. Everyone understand this? Does this mean we can go and do this and kill this person? Does not mean that. And it does not mean that's what we're saying. But the haqq is the what? The haqq. Everyone understand this? And as that non-Muslim said, Mohandas Gandhi, he says, you never have to apologize for saying the truth. The truth never needs an apology. And the speaker of the truth never needs to apologize. I'm sorry if I offended you. I'm sorry if I made a problem for your dawah center or your markaz. But the truth is what? I'm not apologizing for that. Everyone understand this? That's a remarkable statement. I mean, I obviously know he was a remarkable person in the civil rights movement. And he was the mentor, directly or indirectly, and one of the strongest influences on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. For those who know and those who don't know. He looked up to him highly. And what he did in India and kicking out the British and stopping the oppression of the British in India was a direct influence on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And if you read his biography or watch the interviews, when they asked him about Malcolm X and what some of the things Malcolm X had said about him or the people that were, being pacifist or peaceful protests and things like this, he didn't necessarily disparage Malcolm X and those who said that we have to be violent or we have to be militant, we have to be, there's no turn the other cheek. There's no such thing as that. We're going to stand up for our rights. We've been being ran over for hundreds of years now. That's done. That's over. It's not illegal to have a gun, and it's not illegal to have security. If someone tries to burn our house down or blow up our masjid or rape one of our women, we're going to what? Defend ourselves. So they asked him about this and some of the statements that are being made against you and so on and so forth. You're sucking up to the white people. They call you Uncle Tom, etc., etc. He says, I've considered some of these things, and some of these things are clearly true. He says, but I read and I studied about Gandhi and about what he did and how successful he was and the challenges that he faced in India. He says, and I adopted Gandhiism. He adopted that path based off of what he did. Everyone understand this? So the point I'm trying to make is, I'm not talking about civil rights, but the point I'm trying to make is that this is a remarkable statement, a part of a remarkable movement. There's no question about that, even though he was a non-Muslim. And that is, the truth does not need a what? Apology. You never have to apologize if you speak the haqq. So you get factual information from the Quran and Sunnah, there's no clarification that you have to make. There's no, what's your statement on Facebook or Twitter? I don't have no statement. And I'm not talking about one group or one person. Everyone understand this? Whether it's a college, whether it's Canada, whether it's the UK, wherever it is, there's no apologizing for the what? For the haqq. Now, if you're speaking something that's not the haqq, or you're misinterpreting it, that's a different story. But the truth never ever bends over. The truth never bends backwards. The truth doesn't have to go with your feelings. And the moment the truth has to follow people's feelings, we all know what's going to happen. As Allah has told us in the Quran, وَلَوْ اتَّبَعَ الْحَقُّ أَهْوَاءَهُمْ لَفَسَدَتِ السَّمَاوَاتُ وَالْأَرْضُ وَمَنْ فِيهِنَّ. If the truth would have followed their desires, the heavens and the earth and all that is in would be ruined. If the haqq followed a person's feelings, what I feel. You can't say that it's slavery in Islam. You can't say that a woman can be a concubine in Islam. You can't say that. What about this woman that was raped and this woman? What does that have to do with kitab and sunnah? Your feelings have no value and no worth in light of what? Kitab and sunnah. And if you don't believe that and understand that, then maybe Islam is not the religion what? For you. Everyone understand this? And we go on and on and on about the danger the danger that is upon us all. Khairan inshallah. So the shaheed is not to be buried in a different piece of clothing or different shroud. He then says, وَنُدِبَ تَطْيِيبُ بَدْنِ الْمَيِّتِ, and it is recommended to perfume and to place fragrance upon the body of the deceased. It's not mandatory, he says, nudiba. It's recommended. A mas'ala here is, does this also apply to women or just men? Should a woman's shroud or her shrouding be perfumed as well? Or is it specific to men? What you guys think? Can we even get into this issue? I don't think we can speak about this issue if our wives and our mothers and our sisters wear perfume outside of the household. And we don't say anything about it. We don't teach them. We don't explain to them. We don't stop them and enforce the deen on them like we're supposed to. In this matter, you can't force no one to believe. You can't force no one to believe. But you are responsible for enforcing the rules according to what Allah and His Messenger has given you. Everyone understand this? The mother, the father, the brother, the uncle, the imam. These are not lies. What the authority that Allah gives you, you have to what? Enforce it. The police officer, it's not his job to convince you that you should stop at a traffic sign. It's not his job. What you believe. The rules are stupid. Why do I got to slow down and there's no one there? It's nighttime. The streets are empty. Why do I got to stop? The police officer, he's pulling you over, and his job is not your aqidah, what you're convinced about. His job is to give you a ticket and to stop you and to check you for you not following the rules. And that's why they call it law what? It's just that simple. He is to enforce the law. And it's not his job to do what? Everyone understand this? This is a very deep statement, huh? And it leads me to think about another deep statement. Subhanallah. This was made by an American Navy SEAL, an ex-SEAL, huh? How many people did this person have to kill? Secret operations? How many Muslims? Al-Muhim, he made a statement. He was asked about the Middle East and all the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and this Muslim and these being bombed. He says it's not our job to determine whether, quote-unquote, terrorists are right or wrong. He says that's not our job. He says our job is to, he says only God can decide whether they're right or whether they're wrong. He says it's my job to make the appointment, make the meeting. He says it's my job to set up the meeting between this terrorist and God Almighty. You don't understand this? In other words, it's my job to do what? To kill him. And he stands in front of God Almighty. Was he right? Maybe he is right, fighting for his country or what he believes in. Maybe America's wrong. That's not my what? That's not my duty to decipher that. I have a job to enforce the laws of the United States of America. Everyone understand the professionalism? So we have to be mindful of this. Your son may not want to listen. Your family member may not want to listen. But if they're under your guardianship and your authority, it is your duty and your job to do what? Enforce the law. Daughter, you cannot leave my house dressed like that. I've explained to you why. I've tried to be kind and nice to you. You want to be disobedient? That's fine. But you can't stay in my house wearing tight jeans going outside and makeup and perfume. I will not allow it. And if you don't take that stance, فَقَدْ خُنْتَهَا, you've betrayed your daughter or your wife or your sister or anyone else that's under your what? Care. And the same applies to a woman. The care and the authority that Allah what? Has given her. The Prophet ﷺ has told us in the authentic hadith, وَالْمَرْأَةُ رَائِيَةٌ, a woman is a shepherd as well, or a shepherdess as well. She's in charge of a flock as well. Is it like that of the man? Not necessarily, but she is what? She's responsible. And it is her job to convince and to make the person believe everything, right or wrong? Not necessarily. That's initially. But if that doesn't work, it's her job to do what? Enforce it. Everyone understand this? So this is something that many of us, we sleep on. And we say, wow, may Allah guide him, I can't help him, so on and so forth. I can't, he's lost. Okay, maybe he is. But you have a duty. It's not my job to convince you to stop at a stoplight, but I will give you a ticket if you don't. And then you can what? You can figure it out later on. You can fight it in court. Tayyib. Khairan, inshallah. So he says that the body of the mayyit should be perfumed. Does this apply to men and women or just men? That's a what? A mas'ala. Last but not least, he says, وَكَفَنِهِ, and also the kafan, the shrouding of the dead or the deceased, should be perfumed as well. Should be what? Perfumed as well. For men only or for men and women? What do you think, Abdul Raqib? Should a woman's body and her shroud be perfumed? Yes. What you think, Mukhtar? Just like a man. Why would someone think not?
It would be hard for somebody to be attracted to that woman.
He said it would be hard for a person to be attracted to that woman. You'd be shocked, brother. You will be what? You will be shocked, huh? But even deeper than that, even the fact of, now he's looking at the wisdom behind the prohibition. But the asl is that a woman's body is not supposed to be perfumed outside of her home. That's the what? Asl. And there are many things that are usul, or asl, or asls during one's life that also apply what? Such as ghusl, looking at the odor, touching the odor. You understand? This person is dead. But still, you're not supposed to what? Look at their odor. Or touch it directly without no type of covering, etc. Slamming the body down, picking up the arm, dropping it, stitching it, poking it up. Brothers, they do when they wash bodies, things like this. Is that permissible? Is it permissible to poke a Muslim and to make him bleed and to cause him injury when he's alive? Yes or no? And it also applies to death, even though he can't feel anything, according to what we know. But it doesn't mean that the asl what? Changes. So that's the tug of war in this mas'ala. Which side is right? You understand? Why it could be an issue not to perfume the body. Everyone understand this or not? Now, last but not least, the perfuming of the body, is it something which is tangible or spiritual and tangible? Both. So spiritual benefit by the perfume and also what? Tangible benefit. What would be the tangible benefit? It smells good. What else? It keeps the smell of the decaying body from unnecessarily harming and annoying the people that are there to pray. What will be a spiritual benefit of the tib, the perfume? Angels. Well, we're not talking about man and woman. We're talking about the tib in general. So he says the angels. What about the angels? They'll be attracted to the oil, the perfume. Angels like good smells. I'm not saying that's wrong. We differ on this, that the angels enjoy good things. The hadith says, they're annoyed by the things that what? Humans are annoyed by. So the opposite of that hadith is that they would like the things that humans like. Just like jinn. The ulama say that jinn, they like dirt and they like filth. Tangible dirt and filth and what? Spiritual dirt and filth. There lies no doubt. When we were growing up, Allah alam how true this is it the bid'ah / superstition, or whether it's a false hadith? Al-Muhim, when we were growing up, my parents, my mother, she would always say that the jinn like dirty clothes. Don't have the dirty clothes sitting there for too long. Get rid of them, wash them. Close the bathroom door. Close the toilet seat. They would say things like this, that the jinn like dirty things. Everyone understand this? And if you just think about it now, just think about, let's think about movies for a second, right? Horror movies. Where does the monster or the ghost or the demon or the boogeyman or whatever, what do they look like? What is their surrounding? Is it something clean and nice and pristine, or is what? Dirty attic, a basement, something grimy and grungy. Sewer Freddy Krueger. He looks Navif, yani? Does he look clean? I don't understand this. You think they're just getting this from nowhere? A witch, when a witch is portrayed, what does her cove look like? Spider webs. Halloween, they showed a big spider. Oh, some brothers didn't have a spider on their car. A big black tarantula or spider on the grill of their car, right? Just like some brothers, they have the red nose, the reindeer. You'd be shocked, Yahi. You would be shocked. You might find a Muslim with the reindeer horns on his car and a red nose in the front. Al-Muhim, eyelashes on the car. Tashabbuh bin Nisa. Imitating women. Is that permissible? Al-Muhim. Is that they portray a witch, her house, her cove, her basement, whatever she is, it has what in it, Khalid? Cobwebs. What do cobwebs symbolize? There you go. Lack of care. Lack of looking after something. The cobwebs are thick. Meaning the place has been abandoned. No one has been there to clean and tidy up. What else do you find? rats, bats, al-Muhim, things like this. Everyone understand the concept? So the concept of the angels liking clean things, sweet smelling things, and the jinn liking dirty things and evil. There has to be some type of what? Connection. Everyone understand this? Al-Muhim, that's all we'll stay here. That's all we're going to explain for this chapter now. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best.